Hello and welcome to Sabha TV. You're watching Midday News with the host Rajya. Let's have a look at the top headlines. Both houses adjourned till 2 p.m. after opposition protest against government formation in Maharashtra. Congress leaders also staged protest in parliament premises. The Supreme Court reserves order on Maharashtra floor test till Tuesday morning. BJP claims support of all 54 NCP MLAs in top court. Shiv Sena asked BJP to prove majority within 24 hours. Important for Jharkhand to have a stable government, says Prime Minister Modi on campaign trail in the poll-bound state. Congress promises farm loan waiver in their election manifesto. This year's Constitution Day very special, says Prime Minister Modi. Man Ki Baat reminds the day enforces obligation towards upholding Constitution ideals and values for nation building. And at Governor's Conference, President Ramnath Kovind says awareness campaign about fundamental duties to be launched on the Constitution Day. Vice President calls for efforts to preserve India's culture and heritage. Prime Minister highlights need to invest in research projects. Well, the news in details now. Both houses of parliament witnessed protests and adjournments today amid protests by Congress MPs over political situation in Maharashtra. Rajya Sabha was adjourned till 2 p.m. after chairman disallowed suspension of business notice in the upper house under Rule 267 in protest against Maharashtra government formation submitted by the opposition MPs. Chairman Naidu barred any comments made by the opposition members to go on record, but allowed Union Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who made a statement on the issue.
After going through the rules and precedents earlier, I have decided not to allow it on 2 counts. Just hear me, Mr. Vice. One is as per the rules, 238, the refer to any matter of fact on which a judicial decision is pending. Judiciary is hearing it now, just now. Secondly, reflect upon the conduct of the persons in high authority unless the discussion is based on a substantial motion drawn in proper terms. There is no substantial motion was given. So on both these counts, I have disallowed it.
जनतंत्र का जुगाड़ तंत्र से अपहरण करने की कोशिश हो रही है। जनता ने भारतीय जनता पार्टी और साथियों को जनादेश दिया है। आज जो है, जो लोग की सरकार बनाने के लिए क्लेम तक नहीं करने गए, वो आज जुगाड़ के माध्यम से जनतंत्र का अपहरण कर रहे हैं। एक बात समझ लेना चाहिए, जब जनतंत्र भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ है, तो जुगाड़ तंत्र और जुगाड़ तंत्र का जुगाड़ नहीं चलेगा।
Now, opposition members also protested in the Lok Sabha during question hour on the issue, raising slogans leading to the suspension of the question hour. At noon, the House was adjourned till 2 p.m. Important legislations are listed in Rajya Sabha today, including discussion on the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Bill 2019 and the Chit Fund Amendments Bill 2019. The Congress members also protested outside Parliament over Maharashtra political crisis. Earlier today, Congress President Sonia Gandhi chaired party's parliamentary strategy group meeting, where a decision to raise the issue of BJP's Devendra Fadnavis being sworn in as Chief Minister of Maharashtra was taken. Well, to have more on this political development, we are joined with our senior colleague Akhilesh Suman. Akhilesh, thanks for joining us. It's been a hectic day for you in the Parliament today, given both the houses seeing adjournments. So could you just take us, our viewers who had missed the morning session, as to what have happened so far?
You know, Rajat, whenever some incident take place in the country, some political developments take place in the country, it is very natural that if Parliament is session, it reflects. and it reflects sometimes in Rajya Sabha, sometimes in Lok Sabha, but it reflected in both the houses that members from the opposition, they wanted to raise the issue under a particular rule of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and the chair in both the houses decided not to allow because it doesn't pertain to the house, because the whole case is now sub judice. So if there is a sub judice case, if you discuss in that house, it may impact the final judgment. So I think this was the logic on which basis both the chairs decided not to get it discussed in the house. So I think this was a maybe a misunderstanding from the opposition side that why they want when the whole issue is in the courts. But anyway, the issue was raised in both the houses, and the opposition member did not agree with the ruling of the chairs in both the houses, and so there was a disruption in the proceedings. And in Rajya Sabha, though, Chairman Venkaiah Naidu decided to adjourn it for up to 2 p.m. but in Lok Sabha it was decided first to adjourn up to 12, and then it was decided to adjourn till the lunch hour, end of the lunch hour. And in between, in Lok Sabha, marshals were also called in when members were coming in the well of the house. So I think this is a tumultuous day as far as parliamentary proceedings are concerned, because something is happening inside the house also, and something happening outside the house also, inside the campus of parliament, and also in judiciary, and also in Mumbai, the epicenter of political issues in Maharashtra. So indeed, it's a very interesting time as far as parliament is concerned, because parliament has to resolve at the end of the day whatever is going on, and if judiciary is in between, it becomes difficult for the parliament. So let us see that what happens after the lunch hour in both the houses, Rajat.
Well, right, Akhilesh, as you said, it's a tumultuous day, and so many protests in both the houses and even outside. Now, that actually you preempted my another question. The chairman rightly said that since the matter is sub judice, it cannot be taken up in any other forum. So what do we expect when House reassembles post-lunch, or to say 2 p.m. in both the houses?
Houses, there are many important bills. In Lok Sabha, if you see that there are two important financial bill. One is amendment in the income tax bill that relates to corporate tax, that has been recently announced by the government to reduce the corporate tax. This is very important bill. Another bill in the lower house is regarding international financial services. This is being reconstituted so that India can attract more FDIs in the country and financial capital in the country. And other than that, another bill is coming that is coming under the supplementary list, and that is SPG amendment bill, because earlier you might have heard that the SPG cover has been removed from some Congress leaders, including Sonia Gandhi, Manmohan Singh, Rahul Gandhi. So there has been amendment in SPG rules, and it needs parliament nod. So Home Minister Amit Shah is coming, is understood to be coming, and it is slated in the list now that SPG amendment will be coming in Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha will have a really difficult time in the afternoon. As far as Rajya Sabha is concerned, that one of the major bills that is coming, it is parabanking issues, because cheat fund issue has become very prominent in the country, because many people have been duped by small cheat fund companies, and they are getting money, they are collecting money, and money is not going again back in the hands of the people who had been promised a lot of money in return. So I think this is also very important bill. But given the fact that politics sometimes take the upper hand and it takes the front stage, and sometimes the financial business and legislative business take the backside. So let us see. It is really good to see that how it pans up in the second half in the parliament in both houses today, Rajat.
Right. Akhilesh, Suman, thanks for joining us. Please stay with us. We will come back to you shortly. Now, moving on, a look at the legislative business in Lok Sabha today. 3 bills are listed for introduction in the House today, including the Taxation Laws Amendment Bill 2019, to amend the Income Tax Act 1961 and Finance No. 2 Act 2019. This bill will be introduced by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Nirmala Sitharaman will also move the International Financial Services Centres Authority Bill 2019. The bill aims to provide for establishment of an authority to develop and regulate financial service market in the International Financial Services Center. And the Recycling of Ships Bill 2019 will be moved for introduction by Minister Mansukh Lal Mandavia to provide for regulation of recycling of ships. Lok Sabha is also slated to take up the National Institution of Design Amendment Bill 2019 for consideration and passing. The bill aims to amend the National Institute of Design Act 2014, which seeks to declare 4 National Institutes of Design in Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Assam and Haryana as institutions of national importance. The amendment will authorize these institutes to grant degrees and diplomas to its students. The prohibition of electronic cigarettes production, manufacture, import, export, transport, sales, distribution and storage and advertising bill 2019 is listed for considering and passing. The bill aims to prohibit the production, manufacture, import, export, transport, sales, distributions and even the storage and advertisement of electronic cigarettes. The Union Cabinet has given its nod to ban e-cigarettes in the country in September this year. The members of opposition parties, including the Congress, will move resolution disapproving of prohibition of electronic cigarettes Ordinance 2019. Well, Akhilesh remains with us. So, Akhilesh, clearly a very important and a busy day in Lok Sabha as well. Just quickly for our viewers, how important are these legislations that are slated for considering and passing in the lower house?
You know that one of the most striking things is about e-cigarette, because the government came through ordinance route to ban the selling and consumption and distribution, manufacturing, everything regarding e-cigarette. So now a bill has to come in the houses, both houses of parliament, so that it can become legislation, it can become an act. So it is really an important bill, because many of the young people, even the older people, are getting affected because of a new form of tobacco consumption that is coming in a finished mode, not in that old mode, but whether it is part of fashion, whether it is part of a refined tobacco use, but it was found by many quarters, including the many health organizations, that it may be more hazardous than the normal cigarette or tobacco consumption. So that is why government came into hurry and came to the ordinance route to ban this. But there was controversies, and there were questions raised by many a quarter, including the manufacturing companies and distributing companies associated with e-cigarettes. So I think that debate is still on, and if it comes into parliament in Lok Sabha, that debate will be really interesting, because those who are coming with a statutory resolution rejecting the promulgation of ordinance banning the e-cigarette may have also a logic. So let us hear that what is the logic. If the House runs today, it will be really interesting, and it will be interest of everyone, that the reasons behind banning the e-cigarette, and those who are telling that this is a wrong decision. This is also a very interesting debate. So it is very interesting, other than what I told you about the financial bills and also SPG amendment bill.
Right, Akhilesh. Thank you for elaborating and simplifying as to what we can expect in the House when it reassembles for business post-lunch. Now, moving on, meanwhile, Supreme Court will now pronounce order on Maharashtra government formation tomorrow, that is on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. expected. The top court was hearing pleas by Shiv Sena, NCP and the Congress against Maharashtra's governor's decision to swear in Devendra Fadnavis as Chief Minister on Saturday. In its response today, the centre maintained that BJP has support of all 54 NCP MLAs to form the government in the state, and asked Supreme Court for 2 to 3 days to reply to plea against the governor's decision. Appearing for Shiv Sena, senior advocate Kapil Sibal said the Shiv Sena, Congress and the NCP has affidavits from 154 Maharashtra MLAs, and the BJP should be asked to prove its majority within 24 hours if it has the numbers. Now, shifting track and news from the poll-bound Jharkhand. Prime Minister Modi is slated to address 2 rallies in Jharkhand today. In his first public address in Daltonganj, PM Modi said the issue of Naxalism in the state is due to political instability here.
भाजपा ने झारखंड को एक स्थिर सरकार दी है। भाजपा ने झारखंड में भ्रष्टाचार समाप्त करने के लिए दिन रात काम किया है, पारदर्शी व्यवस्थाएं बनाई है। भाजपा ने झारखंड को लूटने से बचाया है, यहां समृद्धि का मार्ग खोला है। भाजपा ने झारखंड के हर समाज के हर व्यक्ति को सम्मान से जीने का हक दिलाया है, उसका गौरव बढ़ाया। भाजपा ने झारखंड को नक्सलवाद और अपराध से मुक्ति दिलाने के लिए, भय मुक्त वातावरण के लिए प्रयास किया है।
Meanwhile, the Congress party released its manifesto for the state elections. The manifesto promises to waive loans of farmers up to rupees 2 lakhs. Prime Minister Modi addressed the monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat on Sunday. Talking about Ayodhya issue, Prime Minister Modi said the maturity displayed by people after Supreme Court's verdict proves that there is nothing bigger than national interest for Indians.
साथियों, पिछले मन की बात में हमने 2010 में अयोध्या मामले में आए इलाहाबाद हाईकोर्ट के जजमेंट के बारे में चर्चा की थी और मैंने कहा था कि देश ने तब किस तरह से शांति और भाईचारा बनाए रखा था, निर्णय आने के पहले भी और निर्णय आने के बाद भी। इस बार भी जब 9 नवंबर को सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट आया तो 130 करोड़ भारतीयों ने फिर से ये साबित कर दिया कि उनके लिए देश हित से बढ़कर कुछ नहीं है। देश में शांति, एकता और सद्भावना के मूल्य सर्वोपरि है। राम मंदिर पर जब फैसला आया तो पूरे देश ने उसे दिल खोलकर गले लगाया, पूरी सहजता और शांति के साथ स्वीकार किया। आज मन की बात के माध्यम से मैं देशवासियों को साधुवाद देता हूं, धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं।
The Prime Minister highlighted the importance of the Constitution Day, which falls on 26th of November every year. He said the 70th Constitution Day tomorrow will be marked by a special program in Parliament, followed by many other events organized across the country throughout the year.
यह दिन पूरे देश के लिए बहुत खास है, हमारे गणतंत्र के लिए विशेष रूप से महत्वपूर्ण है, क्योंकि इस दिन को हम संविधान दिवस के रूप में मनाते हैं और इस बार का संविधान दिवस अपने आप में विशेष है, क्योंकि इस बार संविधान को अपनाने के 70 वर्ष पूरे हो रहे हैं। इस बार इस अवसर पर पार्लियामेंट में विशेष आयोजन होगा और फिर साल भर पूरे देश भर में अलग अलग कार्यक्रम होंगे। आइए इस अवसर पर हम संविधान सभा के सभी सदस्यों को आदरपूर्वक नमन करें।
Prime Minister also urged people to make India plastic free.
पिछले कई दिनों से ये गोताखोर समुद्र में तट के करीब 100 मीटर दूर जाते हैं, गहरे पानी में गोता लगाते हैं और फिर वहां मौजूद कचरे को बाहर निकालते हैं। और मुझे बताया गया है कि 13 दिनों में ही, यानी 2 सप्ताह के भीतर भीतर करीब 4000 किलो से अधिक प्लास्टिक वेस्ट उन्होंने समंदर से निकाला है। जरा सोचिए, इस स्कूबा ड्राइवर से प्रेरणा लेकर अगर हम भी सिर्फ अपने आसपास के इलाके को प्लास्टिक के कचरे से मुक्त करने का संकल्प कर लें तो फिर प्लास्टिक मुक्त भारत पूरी दुनिया के लिए एक नई मिसाल पेश कर सकता है।
The 58th Annual Conference of Governors and Lieutenant Governors concluded on Sunday. Speaking at the event, President Ramnath Kovind called Governors and Lieutenant Governors as most important link for ensuring better coordination between the centre and the states. In his concluding remark of two-day conference, the President asked them to ensure that Raj Bhavans become people-friendly. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu called for preservation of local culture and traditions and urged governors and lieutenant governors to ensure that local languages get due recognition. Calling the language as repository of culture of a region, Naidu urged the governors to actively encourage state governments to use mother tongue as medium of instruction, at least at the primary school level. Now, at the event, Prime Minister Modi said governors as chancellors of universities should ensure that institutions of higher learning invest in research that fosters startup culture and lead to job creation. Referring to development of tribal areas, Modi pressed for an appropriate use of technology and adoption of progressive schemes in the sphere of sports and youth development. The polling is underway for by-elections in 4 assembly constituencies in West Bengal and Uttarakhand amid tight security. In West Bengal, the 3 constituencies voting are Kalaigunj, Karimpur and Kharagpur. The Kharagpur and Karimpur seats fell vacant post-general election as sitting MLAs contested and won Lok Sabha seats. By-polls were necessitated in Kaliaganj following death of Congress MLA Parmanath Roy. By-poll is also underway in Pithoragarh in Uttarakhand. The seat fell vacant after death of sitting MLA and Cabinet Minister Prakash Pant in June. The counting of votes will take place on Thursday. And now let's talk about the environment and climate change. Intelligence Unit's latest report found that rising temperatures would decrease 3% of the global GDP by the year 2050 and would directly cost world economy $7.9 trillion. Global economy is likely to hit $250 trillion by the year 2050 as opposed to $258 trillion with no climate impact. While the United States will have least impact, Russia is likely to lose 5% of GDP by the year 2050. Developing nations fare poorer in terms of climate change resilience than the richer ones. To counter this situation, all countries must rapidly decrease their greenhouse gas emissions and limit global temperatures rise well below 2 degrees Celsius. And before we end our bulletin, meet Mayank Pratap Singh, India's youngest judge, who has created history by cracking Rajasthan Judiciary Service examination at the age of just 21. Our correspondent, Navikram Singh, caught up with this young judge.
हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए मौजूद हैं मयंक प्रताप सिंह। मयंक प्रताप, सबसे पहले तो राज्यसभा टीवी की तरफ से बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
धन्यवाद सर।
पहला सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा, इतनी छोटी उम्र में आपने परीक्षा पास की है, कैसा लग रहा है? क्या उम्मीदें थी आपको जब आपने परीक्षा दी थी?
जब मैंने परीक्षा दी थी तो उम्मीद, मेरे पेपर्स अच्छे गए थे तो उम्मीद कर रहा था कि लिस्ट में अपना नाम देखूंगा, क्योंकि मेहनत की थी। लेकिन जब लिस्ट खोली और पहले ही पायदान पे खुद का नाम पाया तो बहुत खुशी हुई, बहुत अच्छा लगा, क्योंकि मुझे लगा कि मेरी मेहनत रंग लाई, मेरे परिवार की मेहनत रंग लाई।
कितनी मेहनत की थी इसके लिए, कितनी तैयारी की थी आपने?
अब मेरे लास्ट ईयर में ही कॉलेज के 21 साल हो गई एज, तब मैंने पढ़ना स्टार्ट किया, क्योंकि तब मैं एलिजिबल हुआ। तो पहले से कोई प्लान था कि जुडिशियल सर्विसेज में आऊँगा, लेकिन प्रिपेयर कभी करना स्टार्ट नहीं किया। और जब प्रिपेयर करना स्टार्ट किया तो जितना टाइम था उस ड्यूरेशन में किसी तरह से पढ़ के एग्ज़ाम दिया।
अच्छा, ये बताइए कि जो हाईकोर्ट ने निर्देश दिया कि 23 साल से घटाकर 21 साल किया जाए, इसका आपको फ़ायदा मिला?
जी, बहुत फ़ायदा मिला। मुझे लगता है कि सिर्फ उसी डिसीजन की वजह से मैं एलिजिबल हो पाया हूँ।
जुडिशियल सर्विसेज को लेकर इंटरेस्ट कैसे जगा आपका? क्यों इस तरफ आना चाहते थे आप?
जी, लॉ मेरा फील्ड था, हमेशा से मैंने सोचा था कि लॉ के फील्ड में ही कुछ करूँगा। और जब मैं देख रहा था कि क्या ऑप्शंस हैं लॉ के बाद किसी करियर के लिए, तो मैंने देखा कि जजेस का बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल है सोसाइटी में। वो लोगों को न्याय देते हैं और लोगों की बातें सुनते हैं। जब लोगों को न्याय कहीं और नहीं मिलता तो वो कचहरी का दरवाज़ा खटखटाते हैं।
कि मयंक प्रताप सिंह का कहना है कि लगातार मेहनत और लगन से आप परीक्षा पास कर सकते हैं। न्यायिक परीक्षाओं के साथ भी और परीक्षाओं के लिए भी लगन और मेहनत की बेहद ज़रूरत होती है। कैमरामैन विजय सिंह के साथ नवविक्रम सिंह, राज्यसभा टीवी, जयपुर।
Well, that's it in Midday News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV for more. Thank you for joining us.